Your pantry might look completely fine right now. Jars stacked, cans full, medicine cabinets stocked. But somewhere in that normal-looking house is one small, boring item that decides whether any of it actually works. And it's probably not the item you're picturing. This list starts with a $3 tool and ends with something that has already caused a real supply panic twice in 50 years. And almost nobody buying groceries today has heard of it. You still have time. But you should not wait. This is not a bunker list. It's a what breaks first list. The small, cheap, single-use pieces that decide whether everything else you already own functions. A full pantry, a stocked medicine cabinet, and a box of jars all fail the same way. One overlooked part goes missing, and the whole system stops. So we're starting from zero. Cheapest first, strangest last. Working down toward the item with the strangest history on this list. Number 30. The manual can opener. You probably assume you already own one that works. Most people do. Until the power goes out, the electric opener does nothing, and every can in the pantry becomes a locked box. The can, not the food inside it, decides whether dinner happens. A $3 manual opener is the only thing standing between 40 cans of soup and a hungry night. Buy two. One in the drawer, one sealed away as backup. No rotation, no excuse. It's the cheapest fix on this whole list, and it opens everything after it. Number 29. Heavy-duty contractor trash bags. Once the food is open, the mess needs somewhere to go, and this is a quiet stress test most households fail. Thin kitchen bags and thick contractor bags look identical, but mill thickness, not bag count, decides what a bag can survive. A flooded basement or hauled emergency water splits a thin bag on the first lift. Heavy mill boxes are often the first thing gone before a storm, while thin bags stay stocked. Grab one box, check the rating. It doubles as a tarp when you need it. Number 28. Bar soap. Cleanliness is next, and the fancier option is the weaker one. A foaming pump bottle looks stocked right up until the pump breaks or the refill runs dry. Bar soap has no moving parts to fail and sits for years without going bad. Shoppers grab scented dispensers first because bar soap feels like a downgrade, exactly why it's still there when the fancier stuff sells out. A few extra bars, rotated normally, also hand wash light laundry in a pinch. Number 27. Spare glasses and contact lens solution. Nobody budgets for a broken pair of glasses. But without a spare, a household member effectively loses their independence. They can't read a label, a dosage, a warning sign. You can't ration eyesight. An old prescription, even outdated, beats nothing at all. Watch for full-size contact solution thinning while travel sizes remain. Same shelf, same story. Ask your provider for an old pair back, or keep an expired but usable set in a drawer. It's nearly free insurance. Number 26. Pet food. The specific formula. Zoom out again, to a household member who can't substitute for himself. The pet food aisle can look completely full and still not have your pet's dinner in it. Specialty and prescription formulas are made in far smaller batches, so that shelf empties first while popular brands stay stacked. A sensitive stomach pet can't just eat whatever's left. Keep a rotating buffer of the exact formula in use, and change it slowly if you ever have to. A sudden switch is its own emergency. Number 25. Common battery sizes. Anything running on batteries has the same trap. Size matters more than brand. AA and AAA sell out first because they fit the most devices, while a flashlight, radio, and smoke detector sit useless over one missing 9-volt. That beeping detector nobody can silence isn't a shortage, it's a size mismatch. Audit what every device actually needs before buying more of what you already have. A small solar or hand-crank charger paired with rechargeables removes the dependency entirely. Number 24. Lighters and waterproof matches. Power keeps things running. Fire keeps you fed and warm, and it disappears on a schedule most people never notice. Lighters and matches quietly thin out right before storm season and the holidays. That's timing, not bad luck. Fire is free once you have a spark. The spark is the expensive part when it's gone. Picture a working stove with no way to light the burner during an outage. A $1 lighter and a waterproof match case, kept in 2 spots, close that gap for years. Number 23. Duct tape and super glue. Fire fixes some problems. A tube of glue fixes a different kind. A cracked hose, a torn tarp, a split boot sole. Without a fast seal, Small damage becomes total loss. A $4 tube of glue can be the difference between repairing a $150 tool and throwing it out. Everyone assumes it's already in a drawer somewhere, until they go looking. Keep both flexible tape and rigid glue. They solve different failures, and check them yearly. Glue dries out quietly too. Number 22. Laundry detergent. Watch the format. Repair keeps gear alive. Clean clothes keep people functional, and this is where the price tag lies most. Pods look convenient, but pack fewer loads per dollar than the box suggests. Price per load is what matters, not container size. Mid-size, convenient formats vanish first, while the huge bulk box and tiny travel packs sit untouched. Buy the best price per load, keep one in reserve, and a bar of laundry soap works as a backup. Number 21. Coffee. Clean clothes help morale. So does something in a mug. And this is the first item that isn't about survival. It's about sanity. Most of the world's coffee comes from a handful of countries, so one bad harvest doesn't stay local. Store brand prices creep up before premium brands ever move. A morning without coffee sounds small until it's one more thing wearing down a stressful week. Keep a modest rotating backup and lean toward instant or concentrate. No grinder required. Number 20. Salt. Morale is invisible until it's gone. So is the seasoning that decides whether stored food is edible. Salt barely spoils, but that's the trap. The wrong version can ruin a canning batch. Canning-grade salt skips the iodine and anti-caking additives ordinary table salt has, and either can cloud a brine or affect how safely a recipe processes. It sits in a smaller section, often selling out first before canning season. Because it essentially never expires, buying ahead costs almost nothing. Grab the plain version for preserving, plus a normal reserve for cooking. Number 19. Honey. If salt barely expires, one sweetener practically never does. Honey resists spoilage because of its low moisture and natural acidity, and a properly sealed jar stays usable for decades with almost no attention. Most people throw out a jar the moment it turns cloudy and crystallized, assuming it's spoiled. Gentle warmth brings it right back to liquid. This is one of the only foods you can genuinely store and forget. Buy a jar or two now, while it's cheap, and stop treating it like sugar with an expiration date. It doesn't have one. Number 18. Cooking oil. Not every ingredient stores like that. The next one has a clock you have to respect. A pantry can be full of rice and still fail at dinner without fat, and cooking oil ties back to a small number of crop regions, so price swings there ripple into your aisle. Watch bottle sizes quietly shrink while the price per ounce climbs. A fat-free pantry produces bland meals that don't keep anyone full. A stable oil sized for real rotation beats a giant jug that goes rancid unused. Number 17. Powdered milk. Fat needs a partner. So does anything that used to come from a fresh carton. A recipe calling for milk with none in the house is a small failure, until a power outage erases the fridge and takes fresh milk with it. A sealed container of powdered milk sits for a long stretch, with no refrigeration, backing up baking, coffee, and cereal at once. It gets skipped because it feels old-fashioned, tucked into a small aisle most walk past. Keep one as backup, and test it before you need it. Number 16. White vinegar. Dairy needs backup. So does the acid that makes preserved food safe. Not all vinegar is interchangeable. Even though every bottle looks the same, tested canning recipes are built around a specific acidity. Grab the wrong bottle, and a preserved food can end up unsafe instead of shelf-stable. Higher acidity bottles sit apart from standard cooking vinegar, easy to walk past. Check the label if you're canning, and keep a plain jug for cleaning. Vinegar's second life as a cleaner pulls double duty in a crunch. Number 15. Pectin. Acid keeps things safe. The next ingredient decides whether jam sets. Pectin has a narrow buying window that lines up with harvest, exactly when demand spikes, so the box disappears the same week the fruit ripens. Picture fruit softening on the counter with the one ingredient that turns it into jam nowhere to be found. Shelves thin out in the weeks leading into peak canning season, right when casual shoppers finally remember. Buy it off-season, before the rush, low sugar, or no pectin recipes exist as a backup. Number 14. Sewing kit and heavy thread. Recipes need ingredients. Gear needs repair supplies of its own. And most people assume torn gear just gets replaced. A torn coat, a failed bag strap, a split tent seam, all useless without a way to mend them. Heavy-duty thread and a few sturdy needles cost a few dollars but extend the life of gear worth many times that. Sewing feels like a lost skill, so the aisle stays thin. One compact kit is enough, and the same thread fixes tents and packs too. Number 13. Fuel stabilizer. Repairing fabric is one thing. Keeping fuel usable for months is a different problem, and this gets expensive fast. Gasoline degrades within months untreated, so stored fuel can look fine and still be useless the moment a generator needs it. A small bottle of stabilizer protects months' worth of fuel that would otherwise quietly go bad. It sits in a small automotive aisle section, most walk straight past. Picture a generator that won't start during the exact outage it was bought for. Add stabilizer the day fuel is stored, not months later. Number 12. Propane. Butane canisters. Stored fuel needs a use. Stored cooking fuel needs its own container, and this one disappears on a schedule too. Canister demand spikes twice a year, camping season and storm season, and those spikes often land close together. A stove can work perfectly and still be useless if the canister that fits it is nowhere to be found. Standard sizes vanish before a storm, while oddball sizes sit untouched. Check canister size against your actual stove and keep a small standing reserve year-round. Number 11. Battery or crank-powered radio. Fuel keeps you fed, information keeps you oriented, and a phone alone is a single point of failure. The moment cell towers and Wi-Fi both go down, a radio needs no towers, no Wi-Fi, no household power. Your phone depends on all three. This seems optional until the hour it becomes the only source of local updates while your battery drains toward zero. It sits in a small, quiet corner of the hardware aisle, rarely restocked once cleared out. Buy one unit and test it, so the first real use isn't during an emergency. Number 10. Water purification tablets and filters. Staying informed matters. Staying hydrated safely matters even more, and most households have never done the math. Add up real daily water needs across a household for even a few days, and the number is bigger than almost anyone expects. Stored water runs out, or becomes questionable, long before food does. Small tablet packs and portable filters often sell out faster than bulk bottled water, simply because they're compact and cheap. Do the real calculation, then buy tablets and a filter to bridge the exact gap bottled water alone won't cover. Number 9. First aid consumables. Water keeps the body running. The next item keeps small injuries from becoming big ones, and the box isn't the same as the kit. A first aid case bought years ago can look complete, while the gauze, bandages, and antiseptic inside are long gone. Those are the parts that actually get used. Reaching for a kit during a real injury and finding it half empty is common and avoidable. Replacement multi-packs thin out while decorative case designs stay stocked. Open your current kit today and restock only what's missing. Number 8. Cash in small bills. Wounds need supplies. Systems need cash when payment systems stop working. And this is the first item on the list that isn't really a product at all. Card readers and ATMs depend on power and networks like phones do, so a wallet full of cards can be useless during an outage. Small bills matter more than large ones. Exact change becomes its own problem when registers can't process cards. There's no shelf signal here. This is a household check. Set aside a modest amount in small bills and treat it as short-term insurance. Number 7. Copies of prescriptions and household documents. Money solves access problems. Paper solves a different kind, and this is the quiet one most lists skip entirely. Without a written list of medications, dosages, and prescribers, a household can't quickly get a refill or explain a medical history to an unfamiliar provider during a real disruption. Your phone might not survive an emergency. A folded piece of paper will. This information feels backed up digitally, so nobody imagines needing an actual paper copy until they're standing in an unfamiliar pharmacy, unable to recall a dosage. It costs nothing, an afternoon writing it down, plus copies of IDs and contacts. Number 6. Flashlight and headlamp replacement bulbs, rechargeables. Documents protect the invisible parts of health. The next item protects the tools that keep food edible, starting with light that quietly stopped working without anyone noticing. Bulbs, contacts, and built-in rechargeable cells degrade with age even in a flashlight that's never been used. Owning a flashlight isn't the same as owning light. A dead cell makes an expensive model functionally identical to owning nothing. Replacement parts for older models often get discontinued while newest models sell fine right beside them. Test every flashlight twice a year and keep one simple, non-rechargeable model as backup. Number 5. Pressure canner gasket and gauge. Light helps you see the problem. The next item helps you treat it. And here, the most expensive tool on the list depends on its cheapest part. A full-size pressure canner is a major purchase, but a worn rubber gasket, or a gauge that's quietly drifted inaccurate, decides whether it seals or reads pressure correctly. Picture a canning season stalled. A counter full of produce with nowhere safe to process it. Keep a spare gasket on hand, and many extension offices check a gauge's accuracy for free. Get it tested every year, before harvest. Number 4. Eggs and a shelf-stable backup. Equipment keeps a system running. The food going into it has its own fragile supply chain, and this is a shortage most viewers have already felt at the register. Egg prices swung sharply in just the last couple of years because of a real disease outbreak moving through flocks, not speculation. You can't rush a hen. Once a flock is affected, it takes roughly half a year before new hens are laying again. A biological floor no amount of money speeds up. Watch for the price per dozen swinging hard, or cartons limited per customer. A modest, shelf-stable powdered egg backup covers baking and cooking without hoarding fresh eggs. Number 3. Children's fever and pain reducer. Protein keeps the body going. The next 2 items are about a medicine cabinet that can run the same risk as the hen house, starting with a shortage that was never a factory breakdown. During a bad respiratory season, sales of children's fever and pain medicine jumped so fast that national pharmacy chains had to limit how many bottles a shopper could buy. The shelf didn't break, the season broke it. Parents assume this is always available because it's one of the most basic medicines in the house. Watch for posted purchase limits or a bare children's section during flu and RSV season. Buy what your household would realistically use before the season starts. Rotate it for expiration, and never buy it in outbreak bulk. Number 2. Your household's everyday generic medication. That was a demand problem. The next one is a manufacturing problem, and it's stranger. Some very common, inexpensive generic medications are made by only a small handful of manufacturers worldwide. Because the low price isn't profitable enough to justify expanding production, one company's problem quietly becomes a national shortage. One widely used generic antibiotic has, at points, had only a single U.S.-based manufacturer, meaning that company's capacity set the entire national supply ceiling. The cheapest medicine in the cabinet can be the most fragile one, exactly because it looked like the safest, most ordinary choice. Watch for a pharmacist substituting a different form or dose than usual, or mentioning something's on backorder. Fill prescriptions on a normal schedule, and ask about alternatives before you need one urgently. Number 1. Canning lids. If the cheapest medicine can quietly become the most fragile, so can the cheapest, most disposable part of a completely different system, the one that started this whole video. This exact shortage triggered real congressional hearings back in 1975, decades before anyone was talking about a pandemic. Jars are reusable for decades. The thin metal lids that seal them are not. Their sealing compound is only reliable once, and one company has effectively dominated U.S. lid production through both that shortage and the one that followed in 2020. Picture a counter full of ripening produce, jars washed and ready, and not one lid available to seal any of them. Lids sell out while jars stay fully stocked, a mismatch easy to spot once you know to look for it. Buy them year-round, in ordinary, unhurried amounts, and never wait for the season everyone else remembers to buy them too. This is the item tying every other lesson together. A full pantry, a stocked medicine cabinet, and a shelf of jars all fail the same way, over the smallest, cheapest, most disposable part of the chain. A can opener means nothing without stored food. Stored food means less without fat and flavor. A pressure canner means nothing without a working gasket. And a full basket of ripening produce means nothing without a lid to seal it. Every failure on this list is the same failure wearing a different disguise. The boring part breaks first, not the expensive part. So don't try to buy all 30 in one trip. On your next visit, pick one item from food, one from household systems, and one from the medicine cabinet. Check the format and size before you check the price. A shortage doesn't start when the shelf is empty. It starts the moment the useful version quietly becomes unreliable. And the smartest time to buy the boring stuff is while it's still boring, cheap, and easy to find. Which one of these has already gotten harder to find where you live, and which one actually surprised you?